Mr. Dutton, in opposition to the motion to table.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Ms. Noble. What the amendment says is that we would post these languages in the 5 most commonly spoken languages in the state. If you look in the Bible, there are 2 versions of the 10 Commandments in the Bible. I don't know how many of y'all knew that. I don't want to tell you this is not a religious education study, but there are 2 different versions of the 10 Commandments in the Bible. In fact, and Catholics have a different 10 Commandments. And so I just think this is an opportunity we're missing if we don't do this. Because I think
Mr. Anchia, for what purpose?
Will the gentleman yield for...
Yes,
Gentleman
I
yield for questions. He
yield.
yields for questions.
Representative Dutton, why would you bring this amendment suggesting that we have multiple languages that represent, or the words for multiple languages that represent the 10 Commandments? Don't you know that Jesus spoke English?
Well, that's what I think some people try to suggest, that he was an Anglo and spoke English.
Well, I raise that in irony because, of course, he spoke Hebrew and maybe some other languages of the region.
Right.
But I think your amendment has merit because clearly in Dallas, we have people that we have students in Dallas ISD that speak over 100 different languages.
Correct.
And I'm sure Houston where
Houston
you're
has even 200.
maybe 200 languages.
Yes.
Multicultural places.
Absolutely.
And so your suggestion is not outlandish.
Yeah,
You simply want to represent the 10 Commandments in multiple language so it is fully accessible to the multitude of language speakers.
And even more than that, I want people to learn different languages. I mean, if you come speaking English, I think you can certainly enhance. One of the things I've done in terms of travel is I was in South Africa, and I was amazed at the people there because some of the people said they were somewhat uneducated, but I found that amazing because they spoke 5 different languages. And so wouldn't it be helpful to us to institute a program like posting the 10 Commandments in 5 different languages so that our children would have the advantages of learning different languages?
So the virtue then of your amendment is that not only would the representation be accessible to people who spoke languages other than English, but it would promote bilingualism or multilingualism. Is that what you're getting at?
That's the whole purpose. That's the whole purpose. And I think for children, it begins to help them. And if you really want the 10 Commandments to seed in a change in their behavior, have them learn to speak it in 5 different languages, and you'll begin to see some change in that behavior.
Thank you. I think you've got a great amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think Chairwoman Thompson is telling me that that Representative Wu has a school in his district where they speak 71 different languages, all at the school. And so what this tries to do is to say, look, we're going to treat our children the way we should, and that is to give them an opportunity to learn. And what a better opportunity than to learn a different language, and what better opportunity to learn that different language by learning the 10 Commandments?
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Manuel, for what purpose?
would the gentleman yield for just
Yeah, I yield,
Gentleman
Mr.
for
Speaker.
He yields for questions.
Are you aware that the way the Bible was written initially, is not in the same language that it is currently?
That's correct, yes.
And do you know that as we've had each translation, that words have become new meanings, which is why we have scholars?
Correct, and I think a lot of people don't understand. I mean, if they really, most people here probably read the King James Version, but I would invite them to go read about King James.
Yes, and are you aware that Judaism has gone through several different transformations depending on when they've been conquered at the time by Zorinthius, by Romans, by different people?
Yes.
I love your amendment because it also leaves a historical aspect to make sure that we're following it or we're using what we're intending it for it to be, to have the meaning so people can look back and trace where it comes from. Since
But-
I don't think most people know that Jesus spoke Aramaic and his hair was like wool.
Well, thank you. And again, members, I thank you for your vote. I know this, I know Ms. Noble, and I appreciate her bringing this to us because I think, again, to teach our children to better their behavior and that there is something in all of us that God has placed in each and every one of us. And the only way to get that out is to follow his commands, and his commands, the 10 Commandments, set that out. And the best way to teach children is to find a means in which they are willing to learn. And I remember my Spanish teacher. I learned Spanish because, and I will tell you this, the teacher told us we couldn't say bad words unless we could use it properly in a sentence. And so we learned Spanish because of that. And so this is going to help our children. And so I would ask you to vote no on the motion to table.